Let's start this video by answering a big question. 4 years and 37,000 miles. Has the car been good or bad? Has it been tears or cheers? Yay. Before it's completely obvious to everyone that this video is a cry for help, let's go over the boring stuff and what it has taken to keep this car running and in such good shape for the past 4 years. So here's what all I have done to the car since I got it. It's gotten drive belt and all the pulleys, spark plugs, front tires, engine and transmission mount, rear differential service, 6,000 mile oil change intervals, coolant and drain fill, all 4 tires, front and rear brake pads and rotors, a transmission service, the only actual problem that's actually come up on the car so far, PCV valve, a battery, and I just did the valve cover gaskets. Up next are the front sway bar end links that are sitting in the garage ready to go because mine are shot. Oh, forgot to mention, I did just put new front tires on this before going on my ski trip. Now, I could dial out some of the negative 2 degrees of camber, which is the OE spec for this, but that wouldn't be very Dale Earnhardt of me now, would it? All parts are OE or OEM, all fluids are genuine Mercedes Benz, and I make sure that they're most up to date, and it all comes from fcpeuro.com to save a few bucks. The tires I use the Michelin Pilot Sport 4 all seasons. I use them for 2 reasons. One, because this actually is my daily driver, and it does see all 4 seasons, and a little bit of snow. And also, I want the tires to last a whole, checking my notes, 17K in the front and 26K in the rear. That's amazing numbers. Oh yeah. So a 15-year-old AMG, something has to be broken, right? Well, there is one thing broken. It involves this multifunction joystick here, which operates the infotainment screen right there. Yes, it's the original one. I'm never updating it. I'll get into that stuff later. Anyway, so what happened? Well, I can still move around all the menus with the joystick. I still can make every selection by pressing down, enter. What is broken is the rotating feature. There's a shaft in here, it breaks. But the only thing that has locked me out of is the zoom feature of the navigation system maps. Kind of a shame because it has been updated twice since the car has been new in 2010. But in the age of smartphones, the navigation system in vehicles has been made so redundant, it barely counts. And that's it. Everything I've talked about so far, that's maintenance. That PCV valve that failed, they all fail in the M156. Besides that, this car has been absolutely flawless. The most reliable and most durable vehicle I have ever owned. Now, I did have to wait for the stars to align, and I did hold out for a low mileage one owner example. Over the past 4 years, I've been very fortunate and have been able to do a whole bunch of cool car enthusiast things with my E63. I briefly was involved with a local driving group. The type like where you show up real early, you download a route into your phone, and then you break off into smaller groups to go driving up the mountain in a quote-unquote spirited manner. Loads of fun, absolute blast, got to go places that I normally wouldn't drive. Also saw a whole bunch of stupid stuff too, and a whole bunch of crashes. Probably why it mysteriously disappeared suddenly. A couple times a year, when the mood really strikes me, I will go to Cars and Coffee. But most of the time, if I want to do a car enthusiast thing, I'm going up to Lake Berryessa and pretending I'm back in West Virginia. Also, having fun with the car doesn't extend only to the enthusiast stuff, but also mini getaways and family vacations. Packing up the car and just going wherever, riding in and arriving in luxury, and also out of gas. Going on many memorable adventures and getting caught up in, well, antics of family vacations, but also making sure we go to some very special places too. But I'm gonna be real with you, Chief. The vast majority of the time, this is just a regular car. Running errands, getting groceries, and driving the family around. But when I did buy this car 4 years ago, I did fully intend it to be my daily driver, do everything car. And 4 years later, I still think this is one of the greatest cars ever made. You know, based on what I consider to be important in a vehicle. I guess we can talk about the car now. I mean, this is a car video. I guess we can actually go to the car now? Yeah, we're going to go to the car now. Great things about this car that don't get talked about very often. The engine. Yes, the M156 is a monstrous power plant, but it's also a wonderful luxury car engine. Absolute effortless propulsion, no matter the situation. The interior as a whole. Now yes, while it's not the most racy or exciting interior ever, it's a Mercedes Benz, meticulously laid out with intention, the gold standard of utility and durability. And so far, it is held up like a rock. Speaking of utility, how are you going to fit all that junk inside this trunk? When it comes to a wide variety of repairs, well, maintenance at least, this is far from the most complicated vehicle to work on. Deep down underneath all that fancy German skin is an old-fashioned muscle car. I'm sure being the specialist helps too. Let's move on to styling and aesthetics, and we'll begin with the exterior. Yes, this is 100% subjective. However, to me, this is one of the most beautiful Mercedes-Benzes ever made. Instead of being very over-the-top and in-your-face, the retro design language here in the early W212 AMG is very subtle, borderline Easter egg-like. Now let's go over some interior highlights. I'm going to start up top with the panoramic roof. It does a great job of really brightening up this interior that's black on black on black on black. The clock and the instrument cluster. Now yeah, I know it's kind of a boomer and archaic thing, but to me, it's one of those things that makes a Merc a Merc. The best infotainment system ever put into a car. Now yes, even by 2010 standards, this thing looked old as hell. However, it has an amazing feature. You can turn it the fuck off. With a weird third-party Bluetooth dongle which lives in there, I can play all the music I want on my phone. I can control all of the AC features here. And I got a CD player. Remember CDs, kids? To the surprise of absolutely no one, the engine is still the star of the show. The M156 is one of the greatest engines ever made, full stop. Also one of the best sounding, like absolutely demonic, even with the stock exhaust. The electronic stability control system for this generation of AMGs, nailed. Perfect. It prioritizes getting as much power down as smoothly as possible in situation X. Another great highlight is the suspension and steering. The front end is very planted and extremely composed. You have tons of grip. You're not going to run out of grip here on the public roads with Michelins. And all that is communicated very well through the steering. While AMG gave up on their airmatic suspension for the front end, they kept it out back and they did the best they could. I'm going to say over most W211s, it's a massive improvement. Now, yes, it does always feel like it's a split second behind the front end when going into a corner, but at least you can tell when it does settle into a corner and then load itself up for mid-corner rotation, which is fantastic. And by the time you're rocking out of the corner, it is ready to catapult you off. So I'm going to give it one giant pass for it being as good as it can be. The brakes, they do perform very well. They are factory Brembos, 6-piston up front, 4 in the rear. Front brake rotors are 14.2 inches, absolutely massive. They need to be. The brake pedal feel is kind of There's a few committees that you have to go through from the brake pedal down to the brakes at each corner. But at least it's not a brake by wire. It could be worse. You know, they're all right. Alright, I'm going to bat for what most people call a low point, the transmission. 7-speed wet startup clutch gearbox. So alright, so it's moody when it's cold, sometimes when it's hot. It doesn't really like stop-go traffic. It really just hates first gear altogether. It's harsh and clunky, but they all do that, come on. And it's a pain in the ass to service. However, when it behaves itself, it's awesome. Thankfully, the transmission does put its best foot forward when you slap it over in manual mode, grab those flappy paddles, and really get on it. Upshifts and downshifts are pretty fast. For 2010, they were fast. Like, it's not going to get in the way of itself in current year. The paddles on the steering wheel are a little small, but I believe they're a throwback, and I'm going to forgive throwbacks. Gearing is spaced out beautifully, and those upshifts and downshifts never upset the balance of the car, even when you're mid-corner. And you know what? I am going to forgive everything else about this transmission because it does the AMG stuff the best. 3 years and 6 attempts. The ship of Theseus has nothing on this video, and I am bringing it home this time. I can't take it anymore. It is your turn to carry this burden. So go ahead and buckle up now. It's going to be pretty bumpy from here on out. Well, first of all, I do still love the car. It still feels every bit as special as the day I got it, no matter how I am using the car on that given day. 518 naturally aspirated horsepower from a hand-built V8 engine just feels outer-worldly special. But what really makes the car so special is the ownership experience as a whole and everything that I bring to it. First off, my personal journey. This is a far cry from a second-gen Dodge Neon. The car, to me, is also a representation of my professional journey into becoming a Mercedes Benz specialist. I take great pride in all the effort I put in to getting to that point. It also represents the wonderful people I've met along the way and people that I consider family that took me under their wing. It carries a lot more weight now because some of those people are no longer with us. The car, in the context of automotive history, is also extremely important. Last naturally aspirated AMG, first generation of AMGs after the buyout by Mercedes Benz. The 2010 E63 was the first AMG built start to finish by them instead of it being a Mercedes Benz and then going over to the AMG line to get all the go fast bits. The early W212 AMG is also the last time that we see that granite slab design architecture made famous by the E-Class when it was introduced in the mid-1980s. I think the 2010 E63 AMG is a vehicle worth preserving as long as realistically possible. I also think the 2010 E63 AMG is worth dailying as long as realistically possible. And here I am doing both. Why? I mean, you've made it this far in the video. Like, can't you tell that I am a nut? An absolute wingnut? But you know what? I'm also having a blast. Sharing it with friends and family. Hell, Dolly is even a member of the family. Fun fact on the way out, Dolly is not named after our co-Lord and Savior Dolly Parton, but is named after the Dolly Sods Wilderness Preserve back home in West Virginia. My favorite place on the whole planet. And it was actually my grandma's favorite place on the whole planet. Hello, handsome. What a day. You look lonely. I can fix that. Well, that train wreck's finally finished, thank sweet baby Mormon Jesus. But I feel more inspired to make other videos about other things that I've been wanting to make for a while. Cars, video games, completely random stuff. Don't worry, it'll all be a lot worse than this. If you feel compelled to subscribe because you like this video, I want you to call 911. You are having a mental health emergency.